It's 3 a.m. You're physically exhausted, but your mind is racing through a continuous loop of tomorrow's meetings, an overdue expense report, and a conversation you really need to have with a friend. That anxiety is tethered to the devices on our nightstands. Every unread email and glowing red badge represents a tiny, unresolved duty demanding our attention. It feels remarkably similar to the frustration you experience when a television episode cuts to black right before a major plot reveal. Whether it's a digital chore or a narrative cliffhanger, unfinished tasks actively hijack our working memory. They feel significantly heavier and more urgent than the work we've already completed. To understand why we can't simply turn off these racing thoughts, we have to go back to a bustling cafe in 1920s Vienna. It was here that a Russian psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik noticed a peculiar glitch in human memory. She observed that the cafe's waiters possessed flawless, highly detailed memories for complex food and drink orders, provided the table hadn't paid yet. But the exact moment a customer settled the bill, the waiter's memory of that intricate order was wiped completely clean. This became known as the Zeigarnik Effect. It is the psychological principle dictating that our brains actively hold unfinished tasks in our working memory, while quietly deleting the ones we've completed. Zeigarnik proved that unfinished tasks are unforgettable. But simply remembering a task is only the first half of the cognitive trap we face today. Look at this diagram of dots. Gestalt psychology shows human brains seek meaningful wholes. Even incomplete, our minds connect dots for closure. Starting tasks creates a similar quasi-need. Interrupting them leaves patterns unresolved and demanding attention. Psychologist Lewin described this interrupted state as a strained system. Because the circuit is broken, your brain continuously allocates background processing power to keep the task alive, generating active cognitive tension. If an ancestor forgot to finish a shelter before a storm arrived, or lost track of a predator they were trailing, the consequences were final. In a primitive world, leaving an open loop meant ignoring a threat to your life. The cognitive tension keeping you awake at night is a primal biological alarm system, demanding completion to ensure your survival. This biological alarm system doesn't stop at memory, it also dictates our behavior. This brings us to the research of another psychologist, Maria Ovsiankina. While Zeigarnik focused on how we remember unfinished work, Ovsiankina discovered a behavioral drive, the intense, innate urge to physically resume an interrupted task the moment we have free time. The cognitive dissonance of an open loop creates such severe mental discomfort that the brain compels the body into action, purely to relieve the tension. Modern media relies on this biological drive. Television writers end episodes on unresolved cliffhangers to manufacture an open loop you're desperate to close. Video game developers fill our screens with endless quest logs, and marketers split content into multi-part series to keep that cognitive pressure high. Our entertainment and productivity ecosystems are engineered to exploit our evolutionary need for closure, ensuring we stay hooked. Unlike our ancestors, who might track 1 or 2 survival tasks at a time, we are simultaneously managing dozens of these artificially induced open loops. We carry around unprocessed emails, vague commitments, brilliant ideas, and deeply complex personal projects, all competing for background processing power. Eventually, we hit a biological breaking point. When the brain attempts to hold too many open loops at once, the Ovsiankina drive fails to motivate us and instead overwhelms our working memory. Rather than prompting productive action, the sheer volume of cognitive strain paralyzes us. It leads directly to burnout and the late-night anxiety we can't seem to shake. The first step to defeating this overload is externalization. You have to move these open loops out of your working memory and onto paper. The physical act of writing tricks your brain into registering a sense of closure. It trusts your external list, releasing the cognitive strain so your deep focus can return. You can also use this tension to your advantage through strategic procrastination, a method used to actively harness the Zeigarnik effect to generate better creative ideas. By intentionally starting a project early and then walking away, you force your subconscious to keep baking the problem in the background. This reveals a core psychological truth about getting things done. You do not need to wait for motivation to strike before you begin a task. You just have to start. Tackle the first step, and your brain's inherent drive for closure will take over and do the rest.